Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course, coming to you here on this Monday. Charlie Miller with us, Jim Reamer with us, and special guest Ron Felling. Coach Felling, how are you, sir?
Well, I'm hanging in there like a hair in a biscuit.
Charlie Miller, man, your old friend Charlie Miller with us as well. Charlie, we've talked a lot about Coach Felling and all so much of what he's meant to you guys.
That's right. Well, hey, there goes Coach right there. I mean, that's what I remember him, just his sayings, and I remember jokes. I still say these jokes to myself to this day and still laugh thinking about Coach, just kind of hanging around. And I can see Coach right now at practice being as active as he want to be, kind of leading the way on how to set up cuts and how to move. And I mean, he's in your ear on the sideline. So, I mean, what a great person, what a great personality.
Coach, when you were back coaching in high school, I think it was Illinois, did you see yourself one day where you ended up at the upper level of Division I basketball and being a part of such a gigantic program and all that? I'm sure that wasn't in a master plan, but that's how it ended up and how it happened.
Well, I'll tell you what, we had a great high school program. We won 4 state championships in high school, and no one's won back-to-back undefeated state championships. So we went 68-0, and I get a call. It's the middle of the night, about 3 a.m, and I get a call, and this is Bob Knight. I said, 3 a.m, and they just got beat out in the NIT tournament. I think it was by UCLA. I'm not sure, but anyway. So he said, "This is Bob Knight." I said, "Well, yeah, you're talking to Mickey Mouse." And he said, "No, this is Bob Knight." Well, he said a few other choice words, and so I knew it was him, and he asked me to come to work. I said, "Well, yeah, count me in." And he hangs up. I was looking at the ceiling, say, "I'm going to Indiana," and so anyway, that's the way it happened.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's quick and easy. That reminds me of the Michael Lewis recruiting story where he slaps him on the back, walks out the door, says, "Welcome to Indiana." But yeah, they don't mess around too long. But so then you go from being a high school coach of great success in Illinois to moving over to a college program also that is used to success, but wasn't having that at the time. And you were an integral part in so many players coming here. I know in talking to Charlie and many other guys, I know that they wouldn't be or have come to Indiana if it hadn't been for you.
Well, I don't know about that, but that's what my job. I got out and with Calvert Cheney and Charlie and, I'm trying to think of, Brian Evans, he's the third leading scorer. And then A.J. Guyton, I recruited him out of Peoria. I knew the coach there. And also Chris Reynolds, Peoria Central. And so anyway, I got those two. But anyway, 3 of them, Calvert are the top. They're in the top 5 scorers all time at Indiana. Yep. Those 3.
Go ahead, Charlie.
No. I mean, it's an amazing testament to Coach. I mean, again, I knew about what he did in high school in Illinois and even the players that went on from high school that now are coaches, right? So, and just the testament of players. And to me, it was Coach Felling's personality. I mean, bubbly, positive, optimistic guy, and was very transparent too on opportunities. So, I mean, I'm very grateful for the opportunity.
Jim, you watch a lot of basketball as well. Jim Reamer on here. And people like Coach Felling, there has to be a difference in what they see in players. There's a difference in recruit. I mean, a lot of people can recruit top players, but to see something in a guy that someone else doesn't, that's a gift that a lot of people don't have.
Well, I think in Coach Felling's case, no different than Coach Dockich when they both were assistants, that you got to know who your boss is too, and you got to know who's going to fit in their system. And when you look at how well Coach Felling taught motion and how much he believed in it and the amount of detail he could put into it just on his own, it was easier for him to spot the kind of players that were going to succeed at Indiana in any role. I mean, and not just the scores. I mean, obviously just building that whole program and understanding you have to have people who are willing to get those dudes open too.
Well, let me
Coach,
tell you something. You see something. I look in the mirror every day, and I don't see that guy.
Well, you're, yeah. See, I've told Charlie the story a couple times. Back when I started coaching, college coaches could come to our practices at the summer, the AAU stuff. And we would come down to Bloomington South every now and then, so it would be easier for maybe Indiana coaches to come watch us.
Right.
And you and I met. If you don't remember the player that I referred to during the break, you may not remember the story, but you came to a practice to look at that kid, and after the practice, you had a notepad and you took me aside and told me how bad my practice was. And I learned a lot, and I learned a lot from that discussion. And I didn't mind one bit that you were blunt, and you liked the kids, but you didn't like the practice. And I learned a hell of a lot that day, and I've really enjoyed you ever since.
Well, I don't know about that. My God, you ought to take a gun to my head. I don't. But anyway, I don't. And this was at Bloomington.
It was, yeah. We back then, and Coach Knight came like 2 weeks later to watch the same couple of players, and
you remember who they were?
Yeah, well, the one was Wes Allen, a 6'8" kid from West Central High School. I'm sure Joe McDuffie. You know Joe, right?
Okay, I was
Joe.
Here a lot.
Yeah, Joe would have been the one telling you about him. And then the other one was either Lamont Rowland from New Albany or Travis Best from Frankfurt. And so those were the guys I think you guys were recruiting at the time. But it was just it was a good experience for me. And of course, Coach Dockage then set it up to where I could come to practice wherever I wanted. And I was young enough back then that I didn't care how far I had to drive. I was going to practice. So,
Coach Felling, Felling, when you were out there looking for all these guys, what is it that caught your eye for what you were looking for? The specific athletic or the talent? What was it that you were looking for?
Well, I was looking for a kid to take coaching. You know, that's first coming to Indiana to play for Bob Knight. You're gonna have to pay attention and learn the motion offense, and also one of the big things. I was a shooting coach, and you got to be able to shoot. I took Coach Knight to see Brian Evans, and he said, "I don't want to," you know, and so he was flying back from North Carolina. I forget the kid's name that we saw. So anyway, we go there and he lets us in, and this is at night. Just a manager let us in. You know, no one else is there, and you can't talk to him. So I told that manager, go down there and tell him I want him to walk around the circle, the 3-point circle, and he'd rebound for him and shoot 3-point shots. And he went around 3 times. That's around and back, and then around and back. And then I had to dribble into the free throw line and shoot off the dribble going both ways about 10 times. And then I had the guy pass to him. So he had to be cut and make a pass and make his target. And the guy passed to him and he'd shoot off the pass. Well, then coach said, well, man, this kid can shoot. I said, that's what I've been telling you. and so he said, well, let's go talk. You can't go talk to him. It's still illegal. But I'll decide to see if he can't come to Bloomington tomorrow morning if his family is able to do that. So that's what happened, and then he ended up signing, and then he ended up the all-time leading scorer.
Crazy.
Go ahead.
No, you please.
A.J. Guyton was one of the others beside Cheney, and we went over to see him, but I recruited Chris Reynolds too, who's now the athletic director at Bradley University. And Chris was not a shooter, man. Was he a floor leader and a defensive player? But so I got 2 out of. I knew the coach there. I got 2 out of Peoria Central in Illinois, and that was AJ and Chris Reynolds.
That's right.
So anyway, recruiting was a lot of fun, but I tell you what, it helped me tremendously to coach earlier in Illinois, and Illinois is a hotbed for basketball, you know. and so was Indiana. But we recruited. I'm drawing a blank now. The big dog, Purdue.
Glenn
Glenn
Robinson.
Robinson.
And Robinson, yes. Well, anyway, that didn't work out real well, you know. So we did, you know. Coach said, "Let's get out of here."
Hey, Coach, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who was in on Chris Webber, Coach. But I saw Chris Webber recently share the story of how he came into the locker room, and I think this was Calbert's sophomore, junior year. This is when Lawrence Funderburk was their coach. And Chris Webber said that Lawrence Funderburk kind of non-verbally told him not to come. I'm not sure if you guys seen that story, but I guess he was being recruited. And obviously Lawrence Funderburk is leaving. But who knows? I mean, that's before my time. But it was just interesting to know Chris Webber also was on the radar.
Right.
Yeah.
Webber was here at practice one time.
There we go.
You know, and you know, we went to. I was recruiting the kid at Michigan, head coach at Michigan, and so we go up there and we fly in there and we're waiting out in the car, and here comes the Michigan coach and the assistant, and out of there, they had a visit the same day. So we were going to attend. So we go up and knock on the door, and to get in, and no one answers.
Oh no! Steve Fisher, yeah, Coach Fisher, Brian Dust, yeah. Wow.
So we knew they just left, so you knew that they were home. But they must have told them, "Hey, I guess he told them night was coming." They told them to not answer, and I'll be damned if they did. They didn't answer.
What a
I
story!
caught help on the way home.
Oh
That's
man,
hilarious.
I can only imagine.
Boy, I would have think that would have left him in a little angry mood.
Oh yeah. Well, it was. I thought we were going to bring the airplane down.
Oh my God!
Not surprised there. What are some of the other recruits that maybe were close that didn't pan out? There were so many that did, obviously, but what are some that you really thought were going to happen that didn't happen?
Well, you know, I guess you know, Lawrence Funderburk came and then he left, and he was quite a talent, man, quite a talent. And I was up there 3 or 4 times to see him and talk to the coach, and then we had a visit there at the school, and but anyway, he came for a year and left. He was quite a talent.
That's one of the best classes in the history of Indiana basketball. Those 7 guys that came in. I mean, the Grahams and Leary and Calvert, Cheney. Chris Reynolds. So that class was it's one of the all-time best in the history of Indiana basketball.
Right, I would agree to that. And it was just a great time recruiting those kids, because it was excited every time, you know, that you'd go see them. And then I remember I had 2 home visits, and I saw him play many times. And now I'm going dry. He's from Indiana, up in Indianapolis. His folks were a doctor. He hurt his leg.
Yeah,
Henderson.
Sharon.
Henderson.
Yeah.
Alan Henderson.
Oh, Allen. Oh, Allen.
Yeah.
Alan Henderson. I recruited Alan Henderson too.
Yeah, that was a tough time. That all during the time during the 90s, Indiana was so close to winning a national championship. That was one of the times when he hurts his knee and goes down. But the group during the 90s, Charlie was there too later on, but they were so close to winning a national title, and were not able to get that done during that. That had to be very difficult.
Yeah, it was. And we had Henderson also, he died.
Eric Anderson.
Eric Anderson. I recruited Eric also in Illinois. And so, I was just if I liked him, I went after him. That's what so, and I saw Eric play probably 3 times, and I called him every once a week on the phone, and then when I didn't, Coach would call him, I guess, and so. But anyway, we got Eric, and Eric was quite a kid. He told me that when he played for the Knicks, he wasn't getting to play all that long, and now I'm drawing a blank. Who's a big center? So I should
Ewing.
Patrick Ewing. Patsy, I'm 82. I'm slipping, but anyway, he said at the end of the 1 year that Patrick Ewing came to him and gave him a check for $100,000. And he said, "You don't get to play much, and you bust your butt every day in practice." And he said, "You made us better players." And he said, "I want you to have it." And he gave Eric $100,000.
Wow.
That's a great story, man.
Wow.
That's a great story. I look forward to digging into that at some point. That's very cool to hear, because you don't hear that in the pros very often.
I have no idea if that's right or wrong, but why would Eric say that? But he said, I would. One time we were playing in New York, and we went in. They said, "Would you like to see the locker room?" And we, of course, we went, and I was looking around, and I couldn't find Eric Anderson's locker. It was behind the door. And if Eric was dressing, now they don't know, he might get hit. It was right directly behind. If the door was open all the way, you couldn't see Eric.
That's hard to believe. You could not see that big dude. Was when you're in college at the times, was your favorite part the recruiting aspect, the coaching part? I know you developed a lot of relationship with these guys that you recruited that you still keep today, like Charlie, for example.
Well, I'll tell you what, you don't win with excuse me, I'll say it on turd. You win. And I'll tell you, Charlie and all of them are good kids, and I wouldn't recruit them. I wouldn't want to bring somebody home and because night Bill, doing something wasn't in the best interest of him and Indiana basketball.
Coach,
Sure.
and maybe Charlie can answer this too. How important is the advocacy of an assistant coach to a player when it comes to things like playing time and role and maybe even time put into development?
Well, I'm sure that there is, but at Indiana, Knight pretty much, you didn't have a whole lot of say what he, and so, you could recommend, hey, this kid, I thought he had a great practice day, and I think, look, I'll do the coaching.
Did you ever just tell him, no, man, you're maybe not wrong, but maybe you need to keep taking a deeper look because there's.
Oh yeah. I mean,
good.
and I had our problems, and, no, I said what I, that's what I was there for. I mean, if you didn't like it, I guess, you could say, look, I don't want you, well, then don't put me on the road, so, I said my saying and what I thought. And then if he didn't, then that's up to him. I didn't push it. I just said what I thought, and, about, being a good citizen, going to school, getting your grades, the whole thing, playing basketball, representing the university. I mean, that was all very important to coach, so, therefore I couldn't, in the vernacular, I couldn't bring any turds home, you know.
That's right. You can't polish one, no matter what. Ken doesn't polish up.
Right.
And so you went through all that, and then obviously the end didn't come well for anybody there, and it comes down to a close. That was not obviously fun for anyone or how anyone wanted to see that. But what was that like going through that, dealing with that?
Well, you know, it wasn't great. It wasn't good. But you know, a guy's got to, you know, for the betterment of the kids, the betterment of basketball, some things just got to be said and got to be done, and you know, and then it must fall. The chips fall where they may. So that's.
I mean, Charlie, you were a part of that, so and you know that that's basically how it was. I mean, and that's how it happened. You were there, so I'll let you take over instead of me.
No. I mean, you know, and as a student athlete at the time, you really don't know all of what's going on. So I can only imagine what Coach Felling was going through, especially somebody that was near and dear to us. That's no longer here to speak about the situation we're talking about in a sense, but like you don't look at it. 20 plus years later, I have a respect and a outlook that's different than I had when it was going on. Because when it's going on, you go into survival mode as a player. Because I mean, I'm gonna put it out there, Coach Felling. I mean, it's like, you know, felt like every postseason there was always something coming up that just really wore on you as a player.
Yes.
Where it's like, man, like, can we just play basketball and not be questioned about, you know, who's leaving and what's going on in the locker room, and just all kind of and you don't realize the impact it has on you as a young 18, 19-year-old player. Why am I playing scared and timid?
Because you were 18 and 19, Charlie.
Yeah.
I was 45 and it's still going through the same thing, you know.
And that's my point, right? And here it is, Coach. Next Sunday, I'm going to be 45. That's why I have a profound respect for somebody like yourself because of what we all experience, but just the opportunity. But who cares what happens to the scoreboard? What we all are doing today, you know I'm doing a lot of stuff because of you, the shot doctor. That's what we called him, Jim Reamer, Jim Core. He was a shot doctor. As he would say, I will shoot your eyes out. And one of his eyes, he shot it.
What was it that because we all remember those last years, you just mentioned the postseason. Yeah. It looked like a grind from the outside. Is what led to that, and because it was all just funneled. You could see it funneling toward the end.
Yeah.
With those postseasons.
Well,
what?
You know, I don't know. I was looking at it from the inside, you know, and I think there's a lot of fault. Maybe I think everybody might have had a little something to do with it, and you know, who knows what's going through everybody's mind at the time, including coaches. And you know, I've still got a lot of respect for Coach Knight for what he's done and how he's, you know, and
right.
But well, I don't want to say this, you know, but you know, some things you just can't do.
Right.
Well,
you know,
I was so I'm on the outside looking in at that point, and very much on the outside looking in now. But it seemed, because you know, it seemed Coach Knight had two really strong, deep classes that, for whatever reason, some of it was injury related, didn't end up carrying the program for the time that you would think they did. That was the Sharon group and the classes of 93 and 94. And then you had all those guys that I thought that came in that, you know, like, you know, Collier and Wrecker and all those guys that recruit, you know, and even in Neil's case, those guys were, you know, I mean, I think Neil was going to Indiana no matter what, it seemed like. You know, if they wanted him, he was going to go there. And maybe to some extent Wrecker. And I thought
Right.
Coach Knight removed himself from the road recruiting wise, and I think that made it tougher to get a sense for were these guys going to be the kinds of kids that could play at Indiana, and those ended up being the guys that transferred out too. And so when you're
Right.
having all those kids transfer out, that's the kind, to me, maybe Charlie can correct me, to me that was where all the tension was, at least on the outside, was that these guys were leaving, and a fan in my case and somebody also who coached in the summer and saw who was on the road. You know, you'd look over there and
Right.
you'd see Krzyzewski and Dean Smith and John Thompson, and
Sure.
then you'd see either you or Coach Dockich, you know, and Coach Knight wasn't there. And I know he didn't love recruiting AAU stuff, but
No.
that's where you got to see kids play 4 or 5 times in a weekend and really get
Right.
to know if
Right.
they could play. So I mean, that's my. I really am not taking you to a question. That was just me sort of telling where I
Right.
saw it from
I
the
understand.
other side of the court.
Well, that's actually a good time for a quick break that I've got to take, and I've got to jump into the football side of things. I'm going to let you guys take the last couple of minutes on this today, and if Coach can stick around with you guys, great. But if not, I want to thank Coach Felling. I look forward to meeting you soon, hopefully, and getting to see you out and about. I'm going to stop by and have a hot dog with you over at the American Legion. But, man, I can't thank you enough, Coach. It's looked so forward to talking to you, and great. Hearing you talk to Charlie and as well, but I'm going to take off, guys.
I love Charlie, and I love all those guys. Love it, and it's just tough to see some of them pass and or be a failure, and not many of them are, because we recruited good kids, and that's all I can say. We recruited good kids that had an upbringing, and I don't want to say this on the air, but I will. We didn't recruit a bunch of turds.
That's right. That's the truth. That's okay. That's
clear. That we got. I got it now. I'm not a
yeah.
turd. That's right. I'm not a turd.